Hi, welcome to the Daiku podcast and Daiku Game Pitch. And with me today is Justin Vandermeer, who has an awesome new game that we're going to talk about called AILING AWAY. And Justin is from Shouting Crow Games. So welcome, Justin.
Howdy, how are you?
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. And when I saw the first artwork for AILING AWAY, I was like, this is like a really cool game that I just really wanted to talk about. So happy to have you on. And first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're coming from, and what got you into game design in the first place.
Oh, sure. So as previously mentioned, I'm Justin Vandermeer. I am a Canadian. I live in Ontario in a beautiful, beautiful little city called Guelph. And I am a forever DM who got a little bit tired of modding out 5e to do what I wanted it to. So I started getting really into playing little independent systems. And I just fell in love with some of the beautiful like graphic design that people were getting into and how gorgeous some of these pages were. And as an artist, I was like, oh, I could absolutely do that. Why don't I just make one myself? Because I'm basically doing that already with all the games that I'm running at home. You take a system, you tear it apart, you look at it and go, okay, this is the part I like, so I'm going to put it in that. And my very first game I put out for Monkey's Paw OSR Jam in June, I think it was. It came out right at the end of June, and it was a little bit of a disaster, but because your first one always is. And I did all the illustrations for it. I learned how to use layout programs and stuff like that. I put it out into the world, and I was immediately hooked. I wanted to do it over and over and over again. And I just keep making little games ever since.
Cool, and we've got all those games on your itch site, which is linked in the show description below. So everybody should check that out and see all the cool games. As I mentioned, Hedge Witch I really like the artwork in that one. It's very cozy kind of artwork. But what we're here to talk about today is AILING AWAY. So we're going to talk about AILING AWAY.
Yay!
Just tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, well. I think AILING AWAY is a wonderful little game about tuberculosis, murder, and kissing. Do you mind popping over to the next slide?
Sure, and that's not often combined, right? So that's an interesting mix.
Yeah. Basically what happens is the game is set in the year 1905. So you're talking Edwardian period, just after the Victorian era, and tuberculosis is a huge issue. We don't have a cure, and treatments for it can be a little bit bizarre and not terribly effective. So the whole idea of the game is that you are terribly sick, and your father sends you off to a spa hotel in Venice. It's very trendy. It's very, very difficult to get into. And he somehow manages to land you a spot. And it's a gorgeous place. It's full of all these beautiful celebrities. And everybody's come there to like sort of recover in quiet and peace so that the public eye doesn't see them sort of wither away. And they get better just enough to go back out into public. But pretty much the day you show up, you find out that the only reason your dad managed to get you a spot is because there's been a murder. And of course, being the nosy little thing that you are, you immediately decide, well, I'm going to figure out what happened. There's been a cover-up by the hotel, and one of the other patients at the hotel is the murderer. So because there's no physical evidence, you have to use your wiles and charms to discover all the clues and figure out who done it.
Well, it sounds like episode or White Lotus and Knives Out kind of all mixed together.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I might have jumped ahead here. I don't know.
No, it's okay. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It probably should stand to reason that it's kind of a bit of a niche sort of idea. So it needed a niche sort of system. If you've played Hedge Witch, it's not hard to get into. That game was written for my 11-year-old niece. This one is probably not for 11-year-olds unless they're especially into like Thomas Mann's like Death in Venice or something. I was at that age, but not everybody. So the system is based off of playing cards and D10s. Each suit of each card suit represents a different family. There are a brother and a sister for each set. Your character replaces the dead member of the person. They die at random at the beginning of the game, so every time you play, it's a little bit different. And when you draw a card, there'll be a different event with different effects for passing or failing. And in order to get the secrets out of those characters, you need to challenge one of your two stats. You either have your illness is on the line, you're really putting yourself out there physically because you're quite delicate, or your reputation. Because after all, it is a romance game, and a little bit of scandal is kind of important.
Yeah.
So if either one of those stats, you fail too often, reaches 0, you probably either die of tuberculosis, get accused of malingering is another one that can happen, or your reputation is so thoroughly soiled that your father calls you home in shame.
The ultimate disgrace, right?
Oh, yes. Now you can modify those different stats with like weird, bizarre spa treatments at the hotel to try to boost you up, but not all of them actually make you better. Some of them actually make you worse, so that's a little bit risky. And there's also gifts that you can acquire over the course of the game. And different gifts have different benefits for different characters. And figuring that out through the clues that are given to you is kind of an important part of the game as well. Am I popping over to the next one?
Sure. Characters.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the cast. As previously mentioned, one of these characters dies at the beginning of every game, and it's random every time. So I wanted to really bring forward the flavor of the era. So the brother-sister pairs in each of these hotels are all supposed to be like very wealthy, very beautiful celebrity types. Hearts represent the O'Quirks. They're an Irish family. The brother's a boxer and the sister's a columnist. The Spades are the Spath family. They're a doctor and combination, Johann and Elizabeth. Diamonds are a French family. That's Henri and Charlotte. They're a musician and fashion designer, appropriately. Spades are like the Italians. That's Piero and Isabella. Piero's an artist and a sculptor, so my favorite. And Isabella is an inventor. So we got to get a girl with a big wrench in there. That is. You got to have a girl with a big wrench. And it stands to reason that your player character, you can be a gentleman, you can be a dandy, you can be a lady, you can be a damsel, whatever you're feeling. There aren't actually limitations on the characters that you can romance. And also, there are tiers of relationships in this game. Whether or not you pursue someone romantically or platonically is up to you. The highest tier of platonic relationship is a different benefit per se than the highest tier of a romantic relationship, but it's not worse. So I'm hoping to try to include everybody's interests in that, because even though it is romance, sometimes romances are platonic too.
How much support do you give the players for like getting into the era and the genre? Do you have like different terminologies that they should be using and that kind of thing?
So the entire book is written very much in sort of period prose. So it's a little bit flowery, which is really hard for me because I like to keep it kind of strict and like the winter wind, simple, stark, and clean. But I really wanted the space for this project to grow with the 40 pages because there's a lot of like prose in it, which I'm hoping will really strongly influence the characters. One of my stretch goals is really expanding on the detective's journal, which you don't actually need to play. All tiers do include it, at least in a digital copy. But in theory, if I hit some of my stretch goals, I'm really going to be able to expand on sort of like things that are common in the Edwardian era and sort of language that was used and some tropes of the era.
Cool. That sounds like fun. I love period pieces and kind of getting into the vibe of it all. And the artwork, like I said, I really like the artwork. And you were telling me before we got on air that you have a history of like being an artist, and that you brought into your games. And I found it fascinating to find out what kind of art that you had been doing at one point.
Yeah, I did anatomical illustration. So, like, I went to school to draw body parts and like skin layers and all sorts of gooey stuff. It was technical illustration, and I really enjoyed it. But I gotta say, it just doesn't pay the bills. I mean, neither does being a game designer, but I digress. Um,
Yeah, this is not maybe the right career choice to pay bills, but anyways, hopefully it all changes.
Yeah. You mentioned that you liked this art style in Hedge Witch.
Yeah.
Hedge Witch is what actually got me into doing vector art, because I wasn't previously, but I had a piece printed, and I was going a little bit crazy with raster art not looking as crisp as some of the text. And I was like, nope, that's it. I'm learning how to use vectors. So ever since then, I've been working in this really, really crisp, clean, very graphic style that I'm really hoping makes this piece just look stunning and so polished, you know?
Yeah. What do you use, Illustrator or what's the open source version of that?
Oh, you're probably thinking Inkscape. Neither. I'm using the Affinity suite. So
Okay. Yeah. The
yeah.
Affinity. Yeah. Okay.
So Affinity has like 3 different things.
Yeah.
Publisher is what I'm doing my layouts in, and Designer is what I'm doing the art in. It's basically built for this stuff. You get these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful vectors, and it's plenty powerful enough for what I'm doing, you know?
Cool. Yeah. I'm unfortunately stuck in the Adobe environment, but I've heard lots of good things about Affinity.
Oh, it's a happy place. I want to talk a little bit about the rewards,
Sure,
if
you
that's
can see
okay.
Rat Girl Games. It looks amazing, and I am convert willing to actually try it now.
Thank you. Aw. Please do. I actually know Rat Girl, and I'm happy to help. So the different tiers. I had mentioned that like some of my stretch goals were kind of a thing. We'll get into that in a bit, but I really, 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 really wanted the stretch goals to feel very in character for the game. So our basic bottom dollar tier is Telegram. I'm going to do the prices in USD, even though the campaign is in Canadian, because I suspect a lot of people watching this will be American.
Yeah.
So Telegram is just like the digital stuff. You get, if we hit that stretch goal, a mini game, you get the PDF version of the game itself, so the rules, and you also get access to the detective's journal, which is not required for the game. You can just use scrap paper or take an epistolary approach if you want to do like, this is not meant to be a journaling game, but it can be a journaling game where you write letters home to your dad and stuff. So the detective's notebook is meant to make it way easier for you to track all the different clues and stats as you go through. But yeah, the Telegram is $6 USD, I think, and it's just the digital stuff. Taking a step up from that, you've got Mail for You, which is the rule book in a physical form, and then everything digitally on top of that. Taking a step up from that, you've got fancy stationery. So if you want a physical copy of the detective's journal and the book, that's the tier for you. That's about $22 USD. Of course, you're also going to get everything else digitally. And then finally, there's Love Letter, which is the big fancy tier. That's about $112, and you get 2 copies of the book and the detective's journal in case there's someone special in your life you want to play the game with.
Well, of course, right? You gotta share it around, share the love.
Yeah, exactly. It's a romance. You also get a handwritten letter from me on fancy stationery with cologne squirted on it, where I basically tell you how beautiful you are and how in love with you I am, about how much support you've been to me in my darkest hours. And I literally write you a love letter, basically. And also, I draw your detective in the vector style that the rest of the game's done in.
Cool. Are you doing the cursive handwriting and everything, or is wow?
I have
There we
nice
go.
handwriting. I'm very proud of it. It's gonna be nice. pretty paper, um, the whole works. I'm also going to talk a little bit about our stretch goals, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
If I raise $1,000, we're funded. This is great. The game comes out digitally. I have physical copies. Everybody's happy. At $1,500, I release an additional mini game that goes in the digital tiers. So anytime you get a tier, you get this little mini game. At $2,000, I get to really extend the journal, make it a little bit bigger, put a lot more fluff into it, and sort of give people a lot more environment to grow in. There's also going to be like a map of the hotel and stuff in that, because I think that stuff's fun. I like drawing maps.
That is fun. Yeah.
At $2,500, I embarrass myself publicly for everyone's enjoyment. I am a historical costumer, so I am very, very happy to put on Edwardian gear and play a mini game and record it and post it online for everyone's entertainment. I'm terrified about reaching that stage because this is actually my first time on a stream. And at $3,000, this is the one I really, really want. At $3,000, instead of using Mixam as our printer, I get to use Print Ninja, because Print Ninja does lithography. And wow. I have always wanted to do a project with litho. Offset printers are beautiful. They are technically period accurate, although the technology's come a little ways, but they were using lithography during this era. And I just think it would be so, so cool to be able to afford to print this game.
Yeah, that would be like the chef's kiss on that one, I think, right?
Oh, it really, really would be.
So 3,000 is that stretch goal? Okay, we got to hit that goal.
Please, people, please. I want it so badly.
Cool. Well, I love the in-game stuff too. Like, I mean, just the whole vibe, and I think you really kind of packaged it up well to make it a cohesive look and a feel and the right vibe. And is there a stretch goal beyond 3,000 or?
Well, I have a couple things that I was thinking about, but this being my first crowdfunding campaign, and the fact that I wasn't using Kickstarter for this because I'm using Crowdfunder instead, I would just be so happy just to reach 1,000. But if for some reason we do pass that 3,000 mark, I would really like to extend the rule book itself and add some really cool stuff in there. Dare I dream?
And so it kicks off on February the 7th.
Yep.
That's tomorrow as of this live stream, and it ends on May the 3rd.
So I think it's 24 days total.
24 days, and the links are in the video description and show notes. And so if people want to back this fun game, looks like it's going to be a winner from my perspective. I think, see, another good comment. This is going to be a blast. So spread the word out there for everybody that this game is launching tomorrow. And here's the links. Shouting Crow, which you have an itch page, and crowdfunder.com, AILING AWAY is where we can find out all the details and the stretch goals and everything that you need to know to support this game.
Yay! Please, please, please back me, guys.
Cool. Well, Justin, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Wish you all the best for the long-term run of this game. I think it's going to be a success, and I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun playing. So I just want to say thank you for coming on. Best of luck for AILING Away.
Thank you so much, Gary. I had a great time.
Good. And if you have a game that you want to pitch on Game Pitch, feel free to reach out. Go to daikugames.com/gamepitch and fill out the form to get on here. And let's get some indie games going and get them out there. And if you go to the website, just tell them Game Pitch Gary sent you.
Hey friends, are you looking for a game that is not Dungeons or Dragons? Well, we got exactly what you need at Daiku Game Pitch. We got zines, we got OSR, we got adventures. But wait, there's more. We got solo games, we got journaling games, we even got card games and dice games. Oh hell, I don't even know what kind of game this is, but we got it. And if you visit us in the next 2 minutes, you're gonna get all the Zine Quest, Zine Months, Itch Fund and Backer Kits Kickstarters that you can handle. Visit us at www.qgames.com and tell them a Game Pitch Gary sent ya.